Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another Back 4 Blood ranking video. I have not done one of these in a little bit, but don't worry, it was only like a few weeks ago. But anyways, I hope you guys end up enjoying seeing another Back 4 Blood ranking video, just because it has been a minute. And what I'm going to be ranking here in today's video specifically is going to end up being the Back 4 Blood equipment, because when it comes to Back 4 Blood, the DLC is still yet to be completed, so there still is going to be a little bit more before the annual pass is done. But I thought, hey, you know what, there's enough grenades in the game at this point, there's enough medical supplies in the game at this point, so why not do this in the middle of the DLC? So I hope you guys end up enjoying this video nonetheless. If you end up enjoying today's video and you do want to see more Back 4 Blood rankings return, just let me know by dropping a like. I'd be more than happy to bring these back again. I decided to have this be kind of like the testing ground, so whatever this video ends up getting as a response, I'll just count that as what you guys would like to see. But yeah, I hope you end up enjoying today's video. Alrighty, so let's start off with the very first piece of equipment, which is by far absolutely, without a doubt, the worst one in the entire game. And it sucks because this is one of the brand new ones, but this is going to end up being the smoke grenade. The smoke grenade is a piece of equipment that basically will serve no purpose to you in accordance with the way that most players play. Because the idea is behind the smoke grenade is that you are supposed to conceal your movements so that way special infected and normal zombies will not attack you. Actually, let me correct myself. I would assume that it would be special infected that would also protect you from, but no, it is actually not. It is only just the common infected. Therefore, basically taking away one of the most critical features of this smoke grenade, which would be to conceal you from the most threatening zombie that could kill you, but unfortunately, it's just the bare bone zombies that are only going to end up being affected by this. Therefore, leaving the special infected still able to kill you and making this grenade pointless to have in your inventory. I understand what Turtle Rock was trying to achieve here with the smoke grenade, but given the way that Back 4 Blood just is, I mean, the way that the game plays, this grenade just isn't useful, because the special infected are the main problem. Now, if they ended up buffing this thing so that way one day it does end up concealing you from the special infected, then this would be one of the best pieces of equipment in the entire game, but just removing that one thing makes this the worst because you don't end up using it. You could use anything else in the entire game and it would serve you so much better than just the smoke. And see, the smoke grenade, it could have been so much more. That's the disappointing thing about it. But just because of that one thing, it automatically takes it down from one of the best just to making it at the very bottom of the list. I hope one day that Turtle Rock will end up buffing this thing, because I would love to make this grenade useful for the way I'm imagining it in my head. But sadly, until then, for as it stands right now, this is the worst piece of equipment in the game, and you should not pick this up if I were you. Okay, now moving on to the second spot, and this piece of equipment is pretty much no better, but it at least is better than the smoke grenade. This is also going to be a brand new piece of equipment, and this is going to end up being the bear trap. Now, if only this thing was as effective as when the enemies use it, because my leg is completely broken off after being stuck in this so many times. But sadly, this piece of equipment, when you use it, is not nearly as good as when the cultist people use it, because the zombies usually will go around it, or just flat out ignore it. For example, you will see in this breaker clip, where this breaker completely ignores my bear trap. He just walks right over it and does not give a single fuck. The bear trap is once again one of those pieces of equipment, just like the smoke grenade, where you can sure use it. It's not an utterly, completely useless tool. It can serve some benefit to you. But with the way that Back 4 Blood it just is, with the director and the way that the game plays, and just given the fact of knowing what other players would like to use, the bear trap is only ever going to end up serving the enemies and never going to be a benefit to you unless they end up buffing it somehow. But unfortunately, until then, you're better off using razor wire. Okay, so now that we got those two pieces of equipment out of the way, let's move on to the next one, which this one is not that bad, but it's very niche, so you'll ever really only need to use it once. And this is going to end up being the stun gun. Now, the stun gun is something that you would use and substitute to a card, because there's plenty of cards that allow you to get breakout abilities, or you can just play as Evangelo where you get them by default. But the stun gun is a equipment version of those breakout abilities. The thing is with the stun gun is that the stun gun is only ever useful if you are either a bad player, or two, if you don't have the cards to substitute the stun gun. which I don't end up running into either circumstance, and I don't think that you would either if you happen to be watching this video and you are a long-term Back 4 Blood player, because the Back 4 Blood players at this point have already gotten used to the game, and they realize that they don't need the stun gun anymore. The stun gun is very much just a piece of equipment that when you don't have anything else, and that way you just don't have an empty slot, but once you use it, because the stun gun only is a 1 to 2 time use really anyway. So why would you invest your copper into something that's going to end up being used temporarily when you can end up investing into something that's going to end up being carried with you for a long time within the game? Because that's just the way I see it personally. Speaking of temporary equipment, moving on to our next spot here, this is going to end up being the ammo box. The ammo box pretty much serves the exact same purpose as the stun gun. It's supposed to be a temporary use thing. You're not meant to keep this thing long term, although you kind of can with the ammo box because it pretty much just serves as extended inventory to your ammo. I would only recommend keeping ammo on you if you were either A, using a gun that didn't have a lot of ammo to begin with, B, you were in a situation where you're ending up playing in nightmare mode and you really do need the ammo, or lastly is I would only recommend keeping it at the very beginning of the game when you're first starting out and you don't have any other equipment, such as for example if you are playing as Hoffman who spawns in with an ammo box by default. But after all those situations, you really don't need the ammo box anymore. Now for our next spot, we have got the bait jar, which is Back 4 Blood's version of the bio bomb. Now the bio bomb of this game is the exact same functionality wise as the Left 4 Dead one, so you would think that it would be good. Here's the thing, is that it's not really, because in Back 4 Blood, it's not that the bait jar is inherently bad, it's just that there's other things that are better. And the way that the game also is designed, this doesn't accommodate Back 4 Blood like it does with Left 4 Dead. The way that Left 4 Dead functioned with the director and their special infected, the bio bomb worked for that game. Trying to bring those functionalities though over to Back 4 Blood, it just doesn't work the same. Back 4 Blood is quicker and more crazy than Left 4 Dead ever was, even in its highest difficulties. And so when you try to end up using this, sure, it can end up taking the zombies off of you for a second, but that's all it really does. It just gets the zombies off of you for a second, and then you end up having them eventually attack you again, then you have the exact same problems. The firecrackers are even more useful in this game because they at least last longer, so I would at the least get the firecrackers over the bait jar. I think that if they want the bait jar to compete with the other grenades, they need to buff it drastically because every single piece of equipment they have added in with this new DLC, all are way too weak. The smoke grenade, the bear trap, and the bait jar all have to be severely buffed, otherwise they will remain pretty much useless in this game. Because I don't see anybody pick them up, I don't see anybody use them, and really the only time I've seen them be effective is when the cultist people use them on me, and that's it. So Turtle Rock, if you're watching this video, please buff the equipment so that way they're more competitive with the other ones, otherwise you're just going to have people rocking frags all the time again. And now we end up moving on to, unfortunately, what was one of my favorite Left 4 Dead pieces of equipment, and it's one of my least favorites in this game. This is going to end up being the Molotov cocktail. The Molotov got massacred in this game, man. It's just such a bad piece of equipment in comparison to what I know it could be. The Left 4 Dead Molotov is my absolute favorite thing to end up using in that game, because it's just so satisfying to light things like a tank on fire. It's something that I carry with me all the time. You guys will know this by watching my videos. I love the Molotov in Left 4 Dead. But the Back 4 Blood one just feels like puny. It feels so weak. It feels like that I'm not taking lighter fluid to the zombies. It feels like that I'm taking like a water balloon to the zombies. It just sits there on the floor, and even the passive burning effect really doesn't do anything. The zombies just instead decide to glow neon orange. That's all I notice. If the Molotov just had a bit more damage and it had a longer burn effect, or hell, even if it had like a permanent burn effect like the original Left 4 Dead one did, that would make the Molotov so much more useful. I would love that, dude. But until that day, rest in peace, Molotov. Okay, next we end up having Band-Aids, and Band-Aids are just Band-Aids. It's expected that they would be higher up on the list given the fact they're a medical item. It's just that the thing is, though, that I've noticed throughout the entire list, while I end up talking about the equipment here, that the cards very much impact how the list ends up turning out, because the equipment in this game can be easily replaced by a card. So depending on whether or not there's a card that replaces the equipment, that's where I'm going to actually move it, because if you end up having a card, why not use it so you can maximize your space? Because otherwise it would be a little redundant to rock the same thing. So I'm going to end up ranking these very influenced by the cards. But the Bandaid is still useful regardless if you have cards, because you're inevitably going to take damage anyway, especially in the higher difficulties, and every little bit of your HP counts. And now we circle back to the firecrackers. This is how the bile bomb should have been, and that's really why I like the firecrackers, is because they are the better version of the bile bomb. They're just firecrackers instead. It's pretty straightforward, nothing else really needs to be said about these things. Now at the next spot here, we end up having the razor wire. Razor wire in the right circumstance is one of the best pieces of equipment in the entire game, especially if you upgrade it, because razor wire will slow down every single type of zombie, minus a few exceptions such as the tall boys and the breaker. But here's the thing with the razor wire, is that it's extremely beneficial to you on camping maps. Like if you end up having purple razor wire on the diner, you just win. You just flat out win, because that map is so easy, especially with the razor wire. It's ridiculous how effective it is, because you will just form like landmine type of layouts with this razor wire and the zombies can't get to you. It's overpowered to a certain degree, and then watch, I'm talking all these great things and Turtle Rock's going to nerf it. But jokes aside, razor wire is extremely fun to use in the right circumstances. I still use it to this day. It's just that I only use it on pretty much like 2 maps, but those 2 maps though, when they do show up, it's one of the most fun things you can use, because I love making a little razor wire fort. Now we got the pain pills. Pain pills are better than band-aids in my opinion, because even though they only give you temporary health, they do give you more. And in Back 4 Blood, there is many times in situations where I just need instantly health, and the pain pills, they will pop in instantly. So if I'm being molested by a tall boy, like normally what happens, the pain pills are something that's just, I just slam down and then boom, I'm fine. It's a quick way to instantly recover from the damage I just took. Sometimes it's even debatably better than a med kit, but the med kit is better long term, which is why it's going to be a little bit higher on the list. But the pain pills are still really good, and I love using them in this game. They're just as good, if not better, than the way that they were in Left 4 Dead. But even though I love pain pills in Back 4 Blood, I like the med kit just a bit more. Since the med kit's HP is permanent, it's better in the long run. It's really good on a nightmare run if you're playing with your buddies when you need to end up having that little last bit of health just to get to the safe room and compete with that last horde. It's so useful. Plus, if you can upgrade the med kit, dude, it's like a night and day difference. Okay, coming up next is going to end up being the pipe bomb. This is the best grenade just to get the zombies off of you, because it will just be something that you just chuck and you go, and you chuck and you go. You just forget about it because it will kill the zombies that are attracted by it. It's one of the only few grenades really in the game that is useful other than the frag grenade, because other than the frag grenade, there's like 2 others that are even worth picking up because I don't like the other ones, and the pipe bomb is one of those. So if you find a pipe bomb, definitely worth picking up, especially if you upgrade it, because there is 2 chapters I can think of in particular where this is extremely useful, and this is going to end up being a Highway to Hell, and then also the 3rd chapter in Evansburg, where you have to go down that long strip of hallway after you've had like 3 panic events in a row. I just can't remember its name to save my own life, but we all know that what I'm talking about if we played the game for more than a couple months. Now guys, for this next piece of equipment, I slept on this for a very long time. And this piece of equipment is going to end up being the Flashbang. Now, I originally didn't like the Flashbang in Back 4 Blood because I would usually flash myself. I know it sounds a little bit silly, but it's just the truth. But I didn't really end up using it that well. I was just bad at using the Flashbang, so I just thought that the piece of equipment was bad. But I was wrong, and it was just me being bad with the piece of equipment, not that the equipment was bad. One of the ways that I found out that the Flashbang was super good was through Myth-Busting Mondays, because I would figure out things such as that you can throw this at the crows and completely eradicate them so you don't have to worry about like stepping on eggshells trying to get past them. Or you can stun pretty much any of the annoying special infected in the game, especially the Breaker. The Breaker is, in my opinion, a massive letdown for a tank or a special boss in this game, because he just ends up being annoying, and I hate that stupid storm cloud that he makes. And so the Flashbang just delays that at least a little bit longer, so that way I can lay more lead into him before that inevitably will show up, because I just hate the idea of being in a confined space with that thing. I think that the Flashbang is the ultimate counter to that, so it's really great just enough to deal with that BS, and that's why I like it. It just stops the BS from Back 4 Blood getting to you. So even though the Flashbang was not originally my favorite, it is now considered the anti-BS grenade in my opinion. Okay, everyone, so towards the end of the list here, coming in at the next spot, this is going to end up being the defibrillator, and I am so glad that this thing came back from Left 4 Dead, because in Back 4 Blood, it is a godsend. The defibrillator in Back 4 Blood is stronger than the Left 4 Dead version, because in Left 4 Dead, all it did was just revive teammates, whereas in Back 4 Blood, you can also use it as kind of like a makeshift quick revive from Call of Duty Zombies, where if you want to, you can revive people just significantly quicker with the defibrillator. It's actually quite ridiculous how much faster you will revive people, and they don't even have to be dead to do it. You can also stack multiple of them in a set, so that way if you have multiple teammates dead, you can still use the defibrillator and not only just have it be a one-use thing like it also was in Left 4 Dead. Now, I know that over the last several months that they've been making the game easier and easier and easier, therefore leading to less BS deaths or just deaths in general, so therefore kind of indirectly nerfing the defib because you just don't need it because you won't die as often. But you don't need it necessarily because somebody dies. You can just use it for the quick revive speed, or you can just have it just in case you want to play the harder difficulties. You literally can't go wrong by picking up a defibrillator. It is worth picking up pretty much in all circumstances. And even though there's just only a few more pieces of equipment that are better than it, you should still really consider picking up a defib anytime you see it. Okay, so coming in at the next spot here, towards the very end, this is going to end up being the frag grenade. This has been good the entire life of Back 4 Blood. The frag grenade kills hordes of zombies, it kills special infected, it destroys bosses. If you're a zombie in Back 4 Blood and somebody has a frag grenade, you might as well just kiss your afterlife goodbye. This thing was so close to being number one. I absolutely love the frag grenade. It's my favorite piece of equipment personally in the game. I think that's one of the most fun, but there is something that is just a little bit better because it leads to finding things such as more frag grenades. Okay, everybody, so coming in at the number one spot for the best piece of equipment in all of Back 4 Blood, this is going to end up being the toolkit. The toolkit is without a doubt the best piece of equipment in Back 4 Blood because it gives you everything. If you end up finding a toolkit, it's like getting a ray gun out of the mystery box because you end up knowing what that is going to end up leading to. It's just going to end up leading to so much reward and satisfaction when you end up inevitably finding a toolkit room in Back 4 Blood. Because the toolkit rooms in Back 4 Blood are loaded with everything. They have ammo, med kits, cards, grenades, guns, everything that you would want. The toolkit allows you to get everything else in the entire game. That's why it's number one. Who would not want the Back 4 Blood equivalent of the golden ticket? You get so much stuff for not only you, but also any of your teammates that are playing with you by just carrying one single piece of equipment on any of the four of you. If you have a toolkit, you win. You will win at Back 4 Blood because you don't need to carry anything else on you. The toolkit gives you everything in the game. This is why Carly is my favorite character to use in Back 4 Blood because she has so many good things on her kit just by default. She has my favorite weapons by default, and she has the toolkit by default. So that is why I decided to rank the toolkit as the number one best piece of equipment in Back 4 Blood, but who knows, maybe one day Turok will buff the other things, or they will end up nerfing the toolkit and things will kind of equal out. But until that day, this is my list, and I hope you guys end up enjoying ranking all the equipment in Back 4 Blood. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and all that beautiful stuff. If you guys would like to financially support the channel, I would tremendously appreciate if you guys could go check out my Patreon. It's always linked down below in all my YouTube video descriptions, or you guys could use supporter creator code BlackNinja797 in all caps in the Fortnite Big Games item shops, because Epic is my very first sponsor, and they're sponsoring today's video, so shout out to Epic Games. But yeah, guys, I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers we're going to see. Thank you for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flashbang, boom!